What's up, everyone? Tudo bem? Amigo do planeta. It's me. I'm back. Another interesting episode. And today we'll be talking about the ego and what that entails. I felt like it would be appropriate to discuss the concept of the ego because sort of had a personal experience within my own life today dealing with the reality of the ego. It was synchronicity because the very thing that caused this whole rumble was the very thing that was making me mad. Essentially, when our egos get in the way of our thinking of who we are, and we sort of become these people that are driven. It's all about self-preservation. It's very self-centered. It's very aggressive behavior, but often it's passive. A lot of times it's not conscious. People aren't consciously trying to be manipulative, and like that sort of is the response. It's like we sort of go into this defense mode. It's like the ego takes over at this point. And suddenly you start to have these feelings, and you're sort of driven by this passionate need for revenge, really. And sort of, when does it stop? And what's the true purpose of it all? Why, at the end of the day, why am I driven by my ego? And how can we sort of stop and sort of take that away and become sort of observers essentially in this reality? It's what Stuart Wilde, you got to check his book out, Silent Power. It's what he's talking about. It's just sort of being there in the moment, seeing all of this, seeing the messages, understanding the sort of reality behind this, the sort of message behind this, the consciousness, really understanding who you are, your purpose, your path, yet simply not getting affected by the outside world. So you have that silent power. It's the power that's deep within yourself. You keep yourself motivated. You keep yourself going. You do not draw that power upon other people. You do not get involved into the energy workings of other people. You sort of simply observe your reality and exist in it. And balance. So the ego is a part of ourselves that's extremely sort of focused on ourself, while sort of the other part of ourself is sort of the part that's more connected to the sort of collective consciousness. It's more aware of energies. It's more aware of the sort of greater need, the greater connectedness of it all. Together, though, these people, I feel like, form us. So once again, it's having that silent power. It's being balanced deep within yourself, not getting involved in the outside world, essentially. As much as you can. You just want to be able to live silently, if that makes sense. An observation is simply taking what you see, okay? Just taking what you see and telling what you see. So in my life, this is what I see. I see people that sort of have these ways about them, sort of act this way. That's what I'm observing. And after a while, you can sort of see the patterns of people. And that's the thing. When you judge, you get involved. You're not supposed to get involved. You're supposed to observe silently. And the ego is a part of ourselves that is it's very demanding, and it's also very, it sort of needs to be acknowledged constantly. And it's like people who are very ego-centered, egotistical, they sort of are very prideful. It's like they're just they're like God's gift to man, okay? But then, you gotta love that confidence to a certain degree, because I am a Leo, so I display these qualities too. I mean, I'm a double Leo. Actually, I have a Mars in Leo. I have a Sun and a Moon conjunct in Leo, and I have a Mars in Leo. So I know all about this whole ego thing. This is why we're having this conversation in the first place, because I'd like to share my own experience with the sort of ego. I don't want to say battle, I want to say balancing act. So yeah, I mean, it's just very important for us to sort of see these things about ourselves. We sort of have to be able to consciously see the situation that is being presented in front of us, the observation of it. So you start to see all these people you're attracting. Why are you attracting these type of people? There's something about you that is attracting these people. You notice when you change that aspect about yourself, you stop attracting certain type of people. I mean, you notice that, like, you know, you used to have friends, you just hung around them all the time, and maybe it was because you smoked pot, or fucking you drunk all the time, or drank, excuse me, ooh, bad English, you drank all the time. Or it was just maybe like, you know, you saw them in class, and maybe you went outside and smoked a cigarette with them. You know what I mean? Just like everyday shit. But it's sort of, I don't know, it's sort of becomes the duality of existence when you are supposed to exist in a world and coexist with other people and sort of deal with their egos. And so when you start attracting these type of people, it's like you start to get involved with it, because essentially you're getting involved with that part of yourself, okay, that, you know, you either love the most or you hate the most, or you're mostly attracted to. You ever meet a person and you're just attracted to their energy, and suddenly the more you get to know them, the more they seem to be just like your ass, you know what I mean? Just like you. Excuse my language. Just like you. But you notice when you change that aspect of yourself, they sort of leave your life. You might see them again, you might never see them again. It's all up to fate, I suppose. You gotta love it. But that's what I mean. We have the ability to sort of transform ourselves and raise our consciousness. We have to be able to identify these blocks within our consciousness, these sort of ego-centered battles that we are constantly and consciously dealing with, you know. And so a lot of times we have relationship problems with other people, and oftentimes the thing you hate about others the most is also the thing you hate about yourself. It's very ironic. And so we attract these people into our lives, and they have these qualities that we can't stand, and it's just like, oh, you know, you can't get along with them. And then totally you just sort of step back and realize that, wait a minute, I'm like that too, to a certain degree, you know. I mean, as a double Leo, Aquarius rising, I have a very strong need to express myself and my opinion completely. And so it is often very challenging for me to be with other people who are equally outspoken as I am. These situations, just like going like Leo fire mode, just like expressing yourself, but like not thinking before you speak, and saying some really hurtful things to people, and then not wanting to apologize, of course, because the ego has taken over at this moment, and you don't want to apologize because you think you're just so good, you think you're just too good to apologize, and so you sort of walk on and carry yourself, and you are mad. You have this like chip on your shoulder, and you like can't figure out why you got a chip, and you say to yourself, man, why am I hurting on the inside? Why am I mad at everyone? Why is everyone getting on my nerves all the time? Why do I always find faults with people? Why do I feel like I need to prove myself to people? Why do I feel like I need to sort of worry about my situation that I'm in? Why do I have to worry about if I'm going to meet, you know, say a soulmate? Why do I have to know or worry about going to heaven or hell, or good behavior versus bad behavior, and the sort of ramifications of all of that? These are these questions that are being asked constantly within our subconsciousness, and I feel like we need to be conscious of that energy, and that is sort of the balancing of this ego.